Have you ever watched a film that you didn't understand? And I'm not referring to meaning lost in surrealism or abstraction like you'd see in films like Mulholland Drive. Rather, meaning lost due to a lack of translation. A few years ago, I traveled throughout Japan, and one night in Osaka, I decided to take a break from typical tourism and go see a Japanese film at a cinema. So I asked my housemate back home, who is Japanese, for a few suggestions. Now, I know practically no Japanese, and I knew anything that I'd see would be without English subtitles, so I just decided to go for the jazz anime Blue Giant, because I knew at the very least I'd be able to enjoy the jazz.
You like jazz?
But when I left Toho Number, I came away with a new and unexpected perspective. This language barrier actually forced me to focus on things other than dialogue, i.e. visuals, sound design, and music. For example, there's a scene where the lead Dai gets his friend to give him a beat with a stick and a can while he plays the sax. And at the end of this scene, there's this low angle shot of his friend looking at the stick with an epiphany. When I saw that, I guessed that his friend actually wanted to become a drummer. Surely enough, that's exactly what he became. And that wasn't conveyed to me with any dialogue, rather some really effective visual storytelling. Not to mention the fact that that expression was hand-drawn, which just makes that scene even more impressive. Despite being an anime, this film actually had a really grounded style to it that faithfully recreated even the little details of Tokyo, which I was absolutely in awe of having just visited the city. And the filmmakers took this approach to also the sound design. For example, when the musicians play, you hear all of these extra sounds that you'd hear rather than just the notes, you know, like the sax players grasping for air, keys clicking. In fact, there's a scene in which a character plays a piano with just one hand, and the Japanese film composer Hiromi, who's behind both the diegetic and non-diegetic music in this anime, gave herself the exact same restrictions when performing this piece, i.e. playing with one hand. All these layers create a more intimate relationship between the performances unfolding on screen and the audience, adding a superb level of authenticity to this love letter to jazz. At times, I actually wondered why this film was in the anime form and not live action. It's pretty grounded overall, and throughout there are some performances that do deviate a little bit from this realistic style. However, it's not until the last few performances of the film that they actually go absolutely nuts with ecstatic and vibrant colors and imagery of the universe that conveys this feeling of flying with the music that the performers are definitely feeling. So this film has actually, as you've probably gathered, stayed on my mind for the last 2 years, and since then I've really wanted to rewatch it just to figure out how much I missed without the dialogue. So I ordered the Blu-ray and rewatched it twice with subtitles, and whilst I did get the broad strokes of it, there was actually quite a bit that I missed, particularly a lot of nuances in the character arcs and the interpersonal conflicts. And while the dialogue it's a little corny, especially the way Dai is referred to as a natural so often, without going into spoilers, I realized that this film isn't just about those who make it in the jazz industry, it's also about those who don't, whether that's simply due to just their skill level or other extraneous reasons. And this element actually balances the corny moments pretty nicely. I showed Blue Giant to a couple of my mates, and we were definitely laughing at the corny lines. And there's one particular scene that caught them off guard, and they just pretty much stopped laughing from that point and just locked in for the rest of the film. There's also some exceptional editing here that complements the music really nicely. Often the filmmakers intercut memories with the rhythm of the music. This ties into the central theme that great jazz musicians don't just have great technique, they bear their own soul. The intercutting of the characters' memories with their music exemplifies how they pour their own soul into the music, and also reminds us what drives them, especially with Dai, as his own goal in his own music is to basically express every emotion. And after all, this is what resonates with audiences. To highlight this, the filmmakers actually rhythmically cut to the audience's reactions. Blue Giant is a sincere and well-crafted love letter to jazz and really any creative dream as Dai and his friends' journey to make it is super inspirational and resonant. It's funny to think that I only saw this film because multiple stars had to align, and in particular my decision to actually go see a Japanese film despite a language barrier. But that experience proved there is a language that most people do actually understand, and that is cinema. Because I did miss a lot of the nuances, interpersonal conflicts, and character arcs, rewatching it felt like watching it for the first time again. And how often do you get to do that with a film? Have you seen Blue Giant? Comment below what you thought of it and subscribe, because I'm doing weekly videos just like this one, if not a little bit nerdier. So I'll see you there.